Today's topic is about you. Normally I don't care about you, but, just for today, this is about you. I love you, viewer. Look, I'm not joking. I've been in lockdown for too long. This shed is so cold you have to drink your coffee quick. Anyway, the old Who song. Who are you? Who? Now, no doubt, you're a little bit interested in yourself too. I usually take that sort of stuff for granted. It took me a long time to even work out that it was even a thing to wonder about. Who you are or who I am. But it's been there the whole time for everybody to see, because people have been talking about this. It's just that I never thought about it all that much. I've thought about a lot of things, but I've never really thought about who I am. I just take that for granted. I know who I am. I'm me. And I take it for granted who you are too. You're you. And I've always taken that sort of stuff for granted. I've always liked that song. I call you on the telephone, my voice is rough for cigarettes. Who are you? Who made who? All those sorts of songs. So all the rock and rollers must be they must be onto this, and they must be into this, because they know, they've already been thinking about this stuff before it goes cold. In about 1 minute flat, because it's a little bit cold. I'm waiting for the heater to kick in. But who are you? And you may well say, you know me. That's another song, I think. You know me. Well, I'm not so sure. But I'd like to get to know you. Look, on a serious note, there's a lot of people I do want to know. But ever since somebody told me that I shouldn't take these things for granted, and I might not even know the people I think I know, because I've never tried hard enough, for example. Look, I don't know anybody, because apparently nobody knows him, her, or itself. I think the chickens outside are fairly sure of who they are, because, nobody's told them to even wonder. Now, as to who you are, do you know who you are? That's the old question, the subject of those rock and roll songs, and the Greek philosophers too. That's what the rock and rollers do. They just dig into philosophy, and turn it into a song and pass it off as their own ideas. That's the way to do it. Movie makers do that too a lot. Anyway, so who are you? Well, look, it's not something that keeps me awake at night. Who I am. By the time, don't know. But I am interested in as to who you are. When someone told me that it's actually really quite something to get to know somebody, that actually got me thinking, and it got me a little bit lonesome and blue. And I'm not trying to be facetious, but it did. And I was thinking, wow, I really, I've got a pretty good idea about who a hell of a lot of people are, but I'm not sure. I need to know them better. And you think even your own family members and all that sort of stuff, I want to ring them all and say, can I just know a little bit more about you? And they'll say, what the hell are you talking about? You've been living, we grew up together. You know me. Oh, yeah, that's right. But can I know something just a little bit more, And to that, my brothers or my sisters might say, can we just talk about the footy? You've turned into an idiot. And they could be right, but it's not my fault. It's the fault of whoever told me that there's more to know about a person than what you already know. And once, it's a terrible thing when people tell you that, pick someone, and do this honestly right now. Pick someone who you think you know. Right. Pick yourself if you like. Right, you think you know yourself, do you? All right. Now, is there anything about yourself that you don't know? You know? And if so, would you like to get to know yourself better? You know? Or do you want to just die without even knowing that other thing? Yeah, sure, would say my brother. I just want to watch the footy. Would you just shut up? But, you know, once somebody tells you this stuff, it stuffs you up a little bit. So, you know, I sort of think, you know, I want to get to know my kids even better. And I want to get to know my wife even better. I want to get to know my mum, you know. I'm going to ring mum, you know. And so, pick someone who you, in your, you know, like you just assume you know. You know, pick your mum. Yeah. Do you really know your mum? Do you really know yourself? And if so, why do you go to a psychologist? Because I see a psychologist very often. I actually see psychiatrists too. Oh, don't be flippant. That's important stuff. It's getting colder. Anyway, look, it's a huge thing. And I start to think, all right, I think about everyone I know and love, you know, and I sort of think, how many of those people do I really know? Yeah, that's an old one. I know everyone says that. They probably make memes about that on social media, but does anyone really think about what it means? You know, so let's just pick someone at random. You know, let's say someone who's a cousin, you know, or an auntie or an uncle or a nephew or a niece or something like that. Just pick someone at random. The one you know sort of the least, you know, but someone who's close to you, but you've never really had a chat with them. Do you have someone who's, you know, technically close to you and you haven't had a decent conversation with that person ever? And I've got some people like that. I've never actually chatted to them, and in my mind's eye I'm close to them, you know, because I love them, you know, and I sort of think, but I've never actually spoken to them. And I sort of think, I think I know them. Oh, maybe I don't. And maybe that person doesn't know him, her, or itself even really, or the person might be young, you know, because we learn about ourselves as we get older. And just as soon as we learn about who we are, we're somebody else. Yeah, because suddenly we're 50-something, you know. No, I finally figured out the 20-year-old myself. You know, the 20-year-old version of me. Well, I don't even know if I ever knew him, you know. It's a big, serious issue. Yeah. Yeah, and people say that, I don't feel like you really know me. Yeah, and to that you could say, oh, well, do you? Yeah. So, I reckon, you know, we're misguided as to who we are ourselves. Like you might say, I know myself, but you don't know me all that well. I've got my son texting me. I know him. I'm going to cut this short. You know where I was going with this, but you know where I was going with this is, you know, I'm starting to think of all the people that I don't want to die without getting to know a little better. Look, I want to know who they are. You know, getting to know someone a little better is another way of saying getting to know the real them. You know, is the real them their body? You know, or what they say, and all that stuff, or is the real you? You know, this is that whole essence thing. What is the essence of you? You know, and what have you made of yourself? What is the essence and what is the existence of you? You know, who are you at this point in time? You know, I've got cousins I haven't seen for many years now, and I still feel close to them, but they're probably different people now, and I really feel like I want to know them. Who's the you? Who are you now? You know, at 50. You know, I haven't spoken to you since you're 30. I know that sounds terrible, but I've got a hell of a lot of cousins. It's just not possible. I'm trying to. I want to. I really want to know every cousin. But I don't know how I can actually achieve that. And then you start to think, oh wow, I don't, you know, I'm going to die without actually getting to know some people I really want to know. I take some solace, I think, in the fact that I want to know somebody. Do you know when you're dead? You're dead when people strike you off the list and they say to themselves, I think, nah, I'll never, I don't really want to get to know him. Yeah. I think you do end up dying without, and there's a hell of a lot of people who you, if you had the time, you really would have liked to know. So those people still count, you know. But so there are people in the world, I reckon, you know, I am seeking to know not that many people, actually, when you think about it. A few people at work, a few friends, and a few family members, as many as I can. But I'm actively wanting to know probably about 50 people in the world. I'm actively finding out about maybe 4 at this point in, my family members all the time. My son who's texting me, I know all about him all day. You know, so I'm getting a pretty good idea of him, all right. You know, all right. Family aside, immediate family aside, I think I'm getting to know maybe 4 people at the moment in the whole wide world. But I think I would be devastated if it comes to pass. You know, I'm thinking of about 40 or 50 others. I really need to know those people, who they are. I want to give them all a ring. I haven't got time today, but I want to give them all a ring and say, I know there are people I know 10%. I kind of think, oh yeah, I know him. You know, and when you say I know him, you're sort of saying to yourself, I know him, like I really know him, you know. But you only know 20% of him, you know. And I'm not talking about what's his favourite colour and who he barracks for. I'm talking about who is the real him. Actually, there are some people who key into that pretty quickly. And they make people feel important. Actually, some people do that. They have this way. They meet you and you are their world, even if it's only for 5 minutes. And that, you know, that sort of person can count. You know, you never forget those people. They're trying, you know what they're trying to do? They're not just saying, hi, how you going, mate? It's those bombers on the weekend anyway. Look, nice to meet you, mate. See you later. They're not like that. They kind of look at you and they've only got 5 minutes. You know, there'd be some people you've met for only 5 minutes in your life. And for that 5 minutes, they really wanted to find, they were really looking for the real you. You know, not this image of you, which is your facial features and what's coming out of your mouth and just this vague, hazy image of you and your body and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, not you, but the sort of person you are. You know, I might meet a Chinese guy and he says, oh, yeah, he's a bit of an Anglo type. He's an Aussie, you know, and he speaks with an Aussie accent and all that sort of stuff. All right, I know him, but what he knows is my type, which is different from knowing me. There are some people who, apparently Vladimir Putin is one of them, where if you meet him, he'll give you that, and you've only got a minute with him. For that minute, you are important to him. I've heard that. Julie Bishop said he's got this aura. She's, you know, our she's not old, you know. She's our ex, you know, our erstwhile foreign minister. But, you know, sometimes you ring somebody and you're trying to get to know you're trying to talk to them, but you're trying to talk, but you can't get through to them. All right, who is the them? All right, you know, I'm thinking of an Angels song now. The smile she keeps for you. You know, I like that line. You know, there's this girl that, you know, his girlfriend, and she's got a smile she keeps just for him. So with that smile, she's letting him know who she is, the real her, not the face, you know, the image of her. You know, is it in the eyes? How many people are interested in knowing who you are? Not their impression of you, in you. you know. And you is, I don't know where you exists, you know, in it's, look, you could get both your arms chopped off and your legs chopped off, so it's not your legs and your arms, you know. You could get a heart transplant and a liver transplant, and it could all be successful, so it's not that. So it's not your heart. You could get a gut transplant. There's practically nothing that can't be transplanted, and all you've got your head. Now you could get your face blown off, right? And they can give you a face transplant too, right? I can replace just about everything that is you. Your gut. You know, you're one of these people, I've got a gut feeling about this and I've got a gut feeling about that. How about I give you a gut transplant? Now, is it still you? You know, and so, you know, heart transplant. Probably the only thing, you, I think, is somewhere in the brain. Vaguely. Yeah, I think that's where it is, but I don't understand the workings of the brain. But somewhere in the brain, and it's not the electricity. It's not the synapses. It's not all that stuff so much, I think. You know, that's the when all the electricity's going off in your brain and people are putting electrodes on it, and you know, what's your favourite colour? You go red and that lights up. You know, who's your favourite footballer? You know, Essendon. You know, and that bit lights up and lights up. Who do you love the most in all the wide world? You say, me, my wife, my mum. You know, but whatever you say, you know, that lights up there. You know, but the lighting up is not the real you. Something in there, I don't understand the workings of the brain, but wherever you are in your brain, I'm pretty sure it's in the brain, and it might be kind of blurred into your spinal column or something, I don't know, your spinal cord, but I know you can get a gut transplant and still be you, or does a little bit of you go away? Now, whoever that poor guy you got that gut from, is a little bit of him you now. Whew, you know, gets a bit tricky. Heart transplant, see? Oh, I love you with all my heart. Oh, wait a minute. I've got someone else's heart because I had a heart attack and they gave me a new one. And yet I'm still me. I still love you. It wasn't in my heart after all. Where is the real me? You know, it's all that sort of stuff. Now, wherever that real you is anyone trying to get to know that? Not your selfie, you know, not your image, not your profile. You know, obviously I'm black, you know. That's irrelevant. The colour of my skin is irrelevant. You know, stop discriminating against me. It's got nothing to do with my skin. I can have my skin peeled off. You know, look, I've got a white face. You know what would be terrible? Imagine if, well, this is an odd thought. Imagine if you needed a face transplant. You got your face blown off with a shotgun blast, and the only spare one is a black face. I'd take it. I'd come in for some flack, but I'd take it. But it just goes to show, you know, like Michael Jackson said, it's not about your skin colour. It doesn't matter if you're black or white. You know, take that black face off. You know, all right. Maybe they can put some screws there. All that stuff, you know, but none of that's the real you. You're not the colour. You're not the colour of your face. You know, you're not your identity group. Oh, I'm gay. You know. Yeah, all right. Well, yeah, but yeah, that's more like the electricity going off in your brain. You sure you're gay? Way down. Who even told you what gay was? You know. Now, what if you were on an island and brought up by wolves? Okay, so what if you had been brought up in the middle of, you know, you'd been dropped in the jungle when you were a little bitty baby, and you were brought up by monkeys, apes or something? Would you be gay then? If you'd never met another human? Well, probably you couldn't be, because no one told you what it was. Well, can you be gay if you never meet another human? I don't think you could. I don't think you can. Now let me think about this. I don't think anyone can be essentially gay. You know what I mean? Because what if you never met another human and couldn't even imagine what another human is or looked like or whatever, because you were a little bitty baby and you were brought up by wolves? There have been children brought up like that. Can they be sort of I'm thinking of all sorts of terrible things. I don't think they can be gay or straight or anything. So who is the real them? Because some people are LGBTQIA. Well, I am who I am and I'm gay. Yeah, but I say maybe that bit's not you. Because, the real you is whoever you are, the essence of you. Had you been brought up by wolves on an island? God knows what wolves are doing on an island. I think they seem to roam around Europe more. But you know what I mean. All right, in a jungle, brought up by monkeys or something, chimpanzees or whatever. Doesn't matter. But the real you is whoever that person is who grew up in the jungle. Not you who's grown up in society and you've been socially constructed. That's not the real you. Is anyone trying to get to know that real you, the essence of you? Now, layered on top of that is the existence of you, apparently. Existentialism or whatever. I've never quite understood all that stuff. All right, I'd really like to get to know you, the essence of you. Do you know who I think knows you? Your mother. When she holds you in her arms, when you're a little bitty baby, and she's holding you. Oh, there's nothing like your mum, is there? When she's holding you in your arms, she knows the real you because she saw you just like when you were a little baby. Even better than a father in a way. That's sexist. Yeah, not. Some fathers do that too. Like I did that with my babies. Oh wow! Hey everybody, look at my baby. Hey, you didn't look, you freak. I was more like that, But mothers, your mum, And this is why sometimes people get blown up and all that sort of stuff. And they always say, it's an absolute tragedy for his wife of 2 weeks, So I think, what about his mum? And he only met her 4 weeks before that, And he doesn't even know her. See, he doesn't know the real her. He married her. But that doesn't mean he knows her. And she doesn't know him, not necessarily. Not like your mama does, they always say the mother's often forgotten. And the father. The mother's often forgotten in those, when there's a tragedy. They cut to the wife, on the news. Great loss. It is a great loss for the wife. It's a different type of love. I don't want to get into... See, I've not even mentioned the word love. It's more than that. I'm talking something more than love. I'm talking about someone who wants to really know who the real you is. Because I get the feeling that, sometimes great generals on the battlefield, the person they know best is their enemy, the general on the other side. Like Julius Caesar and Vercingetorix, at war with each other, having a massive battle, amazing battle, and he actually took Vercingetorix back to Rome with him, who, in that sort of period when he was going to attack Avaricum, who was the person Julius Caesar wanted to know most of all? It's different than love. The person who was occupying his mind, his soul, whatever, his essence, he wanted to know Vercingetorix, his enemy. Sometimes it's the person you hate. Well, I don't think it's not personal, but he wanted to get to know him. And sometimes I think great enemies get to know each other really well. Now, who are they getting to know? It's kind of the essence of the person and the existence. But look, I'll finish off this episode. I said I would before, but it's a fascinating topic and I haven't even scratched the surface. But is anybody getting to know the real you? The real you who would be you even if you had your face blown off, your heart transplanted, your gut transplanted, your legs and your arms fall off, and your ass fall off. That person that's still left, is there anyone who really wants to know that person? Your mother does. And hopefully your wife does. Or your husband. How many people want to know that person? All right. You don't have to have all those things fall off and your face blown off and all that sort of stuff. You don't have to have all of that. Or your hair put out of place, It could be, even if you have... If you went into a major crisis of some sort, No, that's another angle. Who would still want to know you? Who would still actively be seeking, I want to know you more? It's a process. It's not a thing that you can know. You can't know another person. What you can do is you get to know them more. The real you is hidden to even the person themselves, the other person you're trying to get to know. Even that person doesn't know himself, herself, or itself. And that's a really fascinating thing. Some people say, oh, I need you to get to know me better. Why? Because I don't know who the hell I am anyway. There's a bit of that going on. But that's a really valid point, They're saying, who am I? I want you to get to know me. Yeah, all right, I'll do that because you obviously don't know you. So maybe I'd better. And then I'll let you know. I'll send you an email, and I'll tell you who you are. You'll get it wrong, she says. I said, oh, well, maybe. How do you know? How would you know? Yeah. Look, you could play with this one till the cows come home. I think it's the subject of a lot of art in the world. So many rock and roll songs. I'm sure it's so many rap songs and so many movies are all around who the real you is. Do you know who? Now, I don't even know who this person is, but it's Joan Armatrading. I've been getting addicted to Joan Armatrading songs, and I googled her to find out who the real her was. I was listening to her songs, and a lot of her songs are about, I want to get to know. They're very, it's just you and me, and the rest of the world has disappeared. A lot of Joan Armatrading songs are like that. And I was listening to her songs, and I was saying, oh, there's something about Joan Armatrading, and I wanted to get to know her. So one way, I can't ring her. She's too famous. She's a rock star. And so I thought, I'll check Wikipedia. And I wanted to get to know who Joan Armatrading was. And you Google it yourself. I looked her up and it said, Joan Armatrading doesn't like to let people know who she is. She reserves that for herself, and her lover, pretty much, and her mum. She seemed to have a very strong attachment to her mum. Joan Armatrading. I said, how interesting is that? So many people are on social media and everything, they're almost desperate. This is me, all my smiles, my cleavage, and my big eyes, this is me, you gotta know me, And this Joan Armatrading, she's writing songs, and I got a sense of, and all those selfies aren't quite getting there, And Joan Armatrading, I'm putting up there because normally my music's up there. I heard in her songs that she's talking about the fact that she wants to get to know somebody that she loves. And it's mostly that. It's not so much about getting that person to love her, but she's talking about how she just wants that person to know her. It's more important than a love in a way, maybe. I'd rather be known than loved in a way, even by an enemy, because then you feel so relevant, I feel so real, that sort of thing. Quoting Little Richard there, he said that once. I think he was onto it. He said, everyone was cheering him, and he says, I feel so real. And it was a funny thing. It was Otis Redding's funeral. Eulogy, and Little Richard was asked to do Otis Redding's eulogy, and he said, and everyone was like, he was cracking jokes and everything, and everyone was laughing and all that sort of stuff. He was the big clown, and it was a horrendous eulogy. He was desperately trying to make it about himself. I thought it was horrendous, worst eulogy I've ever heard. But the point is, it was almost sickening just to watch. His worst ever performance. But it was, I was fascinated, and I watched it. It was like watching a train wreck. And anyway, he cracked a few jokes and he sang some songs really good, that voice. He was still belting it out, Little Richard. And he says, why don't you want to hear me sing? No one's giving me a record deal. And he's joking, but he's serious. He says, why don't you want to know me? He's completely forgotten about Otis Redding, the reason he's supposed to be there, And he's dragging Otis Redding's wife around at the end, Make my picture, I got Otis Redding's wife here. This will be good for this will make me more famous, Bang, and she's getting dragged around, and she's really upset and all that sort of stuff. It was terrible. But and at the end of it, he said, I feel so real, you know, because he's getting all this applause and laughing and everything from the crowd, all the biggest rock stars in the world of the time. You know, there was Bruce Springsteen and Keith Richards, the Rolling Stones. They were all there. They're all cheering Little Richard. He's about my age at that point in time. And he's saying, I feel so real. You know, but then there was this moment. And he said, I feel so real. You know, the applause. And I feel so irrelevant. And then he laughed. But he said it. I'll finish off with that. I like that. Joan Armatrading. I like Joan Armatrading. There's something about her. She's a mystery woman. What is it about her? Yeah, I'd like to know her, you see. And I can't get to know her because she's got it hidden away, you know. So that makes her a bit elusive and interesting, you know. She'd be about my age too, I think. Joan Armatrading. I don't think she'd look at me. Google her. Yeah, you won't find out much.